morning, everyone. This is Julie McDonald with Microcom Technologies, and I'd like to thank all of you for attending today's webinar with Fanvil. Today's host is Tommy Lee, and he is their Vice President of Sales of North America. He will be presenting with us today, and if anyone has any questions, please submit them in the question box, and Tommy will answer them at the end of today's presentation. Tommy, thank you so much for taking the time and being with us today. I am finished for now. Please go ahead and take it on over.
Thank you for the wonderful introduction, Julie. Hello, everybody. My name is Tommy Lee. I am going to be presenting today another viewpoint of our other spectrum of our products that we actually do. Many of you know Fanvil by our IP phones, but I want to also introduce to you the other half of our solution set, which is really the SIP intercom solutions. For those who may not know, Fanvil is really a global manufacturer providing SIP-based endpoints. So all of the devices that you see are all compatible with SIP. You know, some people who are relatively new to the organization, you may say, you know, what is SIP? And SIP is really nothing more than a standard protocol that allows all of these endpoint devices that I'm going to be showing to be fully compatible with any other SIP-based type of PBX or voice communication systems, etc. And so, you know, with that explained, you know, a lot of the products that I'll be showing today really fit into two marketplaces. One is the upgrade market, which actually shows the upgrade in intercom and door access solutions, and the retrofit market. You know, very often when companies go through upgrades, they realize they purchased something very expensive, but they don't want to necessarily buy that piece as a brand new system. But we have ways that we can convert that system to work with the SIP, and you'll learn a little bit more about that as I move forward. Okay. Attached, actually, before I move forward, here is my contact information in case you have any particular questions for me. That's my direct number. Feel free to reach out to Julie for my contact information if you need to reach out to me. Moving forward, these are really three categories that Fanvil has really made strides in. The top, number one, which I list here, is really our IP phones. This is really a big part of our business, but it won't be the focus of this particular webinar. We do commercial phones ranging from low-end to high-end phones, and we're actually known for a lot of the BLF keys, which is what we're famous for, in having some people roll it out. It makes a sort of the behavior change from going to the old system to the new system very, very easily. Beyond commercial business phones, we also have hospitality phones. In fact, we've just gone through a major expansion of hospitality to really provide far more options. This is only a partial list, but I just want to show you the specific verticals that we address. And we have everything from really basic, what I call bathroom type phones, and then even solid state display phones here, which takes away that old paper, you know, template that people are used to, and so on. And there's a lot of folks that models that fit in between. But what I'll talk about here is this section right here, which is the intercom section. Now, one of the things that you'll notice is that the intercom, they come in a lot of different flavors. I mean, this is sort of like the Baskin Robbins of looking at door access phones. If you see, you know, there are outdoor units that are really hardened for extreme temperature ranges, that have video, that don't have video, some that have door keypads, you know, RFID type cards to allow employees or people with particular access can enter in the residential or the store access and not be able to have to do anything. Then we have the basic ones that have video, one key, but the bottom line is that there are indoor, outdoor units, and I'm talking a little bit more about that in the later slides. But combining all of these solutions, we have a management system called the Fanvil Management System here and FBPS. Bottom line is that this allows for a single point of management that ties in both of these systems. Because some of the intercom systems that we have contain video, this system allows you to easily tie in to some of the higher end phones that we have that actually have a video codec. And that gives you really clear visibility into some of the cameras that come into our phone. Now, keep in mind, you don't have to use the cameras that come with our devices. you could also connect third-party IP cameras as well. So this all kind of ties in to the whole solution set that we provide to the marketplace. So as we move forward, I'm just going to end up talking about going over the solutions a little bit, but more importantly, I want to kind of show you some of the applications that these intercoms and door access unit goes into, and then we'll conclude it in a Q&A. A lot of the things I'll be providing is really a high-level overview that gives you a flavor of the type of solutions we'll be offering. But following this particular overview, there's going to be sort of a 3-stage training program that we're putting together that's going to really get into the nuts and bolts. And for those clients and partners that are interested in doing a deep dive, we're going to offer a 3-stage that offers something from the very beginning to like the high end that gives you a really deep level. But for the sake of providing an overview of the intercom, we're just going to keep it relatively high for now. Okay. And so keep posted. I'm sure that we'll keep all our partners up to date with respect to the type of solutions and the type of training program. So stay tuned. So let's talk about our access solutions. I mean, this is just a partial list, but it's really a wide spectrum of products. They range anywhere from really what we call indoor products, where these two products here, we have products containing 1 button, 2 button keypad with, without video. Then we kind of have the interim type of things, which is far more hardened, that can handle outdoor usage. And then we have some of these with what we call rain guards that provide a really hardened exterior that provides, video as well as a dial keypad as well as card readers. And they expand far further. And some of the things that we're going to be expanding beyond the actual door access, which is beyond SIP, is that we're actually introducing displays that'll come associated with a lot of these programs, because we find that a lot of people who use video, sometimes the video screen that comes on the phone is a little too small, and we're going to actually provide some dedicated displays that you can actually procure from us or our manufacturing that'll be able to give you a quick, high-level, easy 1-2 button responses to whoever comes at the gate and provides answering services. So that'll be coming in the Fanvil and the i5 series. So everything that you see here is really what we call our I series products. One of the things that we want to be able to do that kind of contradicts the I series is the PA2. This is really what we call the retrofit type adapter. This is something that you want to take a look at in terms of being able to modify something that's in the analog space that will allow it to speak to all of the SIP devices without necessarily changing the device itself. I'll get a little bit more into that, but for now, we'll just keep that as an overview for currently. Now let's think about intercom. This is not a brand new technology, and one of the things I talk about when I think about when I'm growing up is, let's think about the first intercom system that a lot of us are probably familiar with, and it's the classic bat phone. For many of you who followed Batman and Robin growing up, it was the classic red phone that we have that had one intercom that provided a one-to-one connection, and it even had an activity indicator, which was pretty cool, because if those who remember the movie, you push the button and all of a sudden the thing lit up and it had everything. But in essence, as of today, the actual equivalent would be having something like this, but instead it provides sort of door-to-door access from one point to the other. Very often when people enter into the lobby, in usually small to medium-sized businesses, you find typically, a phone there in the lobby. Well, that's okay, but you're going to have to know an extension. Very often there's lots of applications where you just want to enter in, dial one number, which could then, ring a bunch of single or multiple numbers inside the company. And it just really provides a very easy access with audio, or you can add video if you want to. Okay, and just speaking of the bat phone, we're probably one of the few vendors out there that actually contain a red phone. We've actually had some requests to come up with some sort of emergency phone, so we picked out a 5U red model that allows for kind of an off the gray and black color to give you sort of a red color scheme, and it's a very interesting niche application, but we were kind of surprised at the demand that it actually brings to the marketplace. Now let's kind of go through some of the variety that we have. And they're really divided into several different categories. One is really what I consider IP65 outdoor rated, and IP65 is nothing more than a standard that provides a certain spec in terms of having it dust resistant, water resistant, and these are the type of applications that you see here. Now, keep in mind, this is just a really partial view of some of the solutions we have. We have other things that go beyond what you see here that kind of cater to whether you want a flush mount on the wall or an actual surface mount. And then we have stuff that's more industrial, things that are taken care of on the indoor or a lot of commercial buildings, people that want to access, loading docks, enter into your commercial atmosphere. And then we have some of the basic indoor things like a single intercom system where you just have one button and you can have that one button basic unit that includes video or non-video. These you can actually use for some basic hospital applications, for example. Many of the examples that you see here, many of the hospital beds, you have to hook up in a cable and then you can connect it with the bed. There are a lot of different ways that you can do it, but we have some really basic applications that you can procure from Fanvil. So let's move forward in terms of, improving audio intercom in two different flavors. As I mentioned earlier, we have single button solutions and dual button solutions that provide audio only as well. And these are just some of the flavors that we have. And for some of those that want to have more of an outdoor commercial or industrial type of a feel, then you can actually have the same type of application here where you have outdoor intercoms that have, call and answer. Some of the really big pieces here are perhaps, when you're leaving hotels very often, you may want to install one of these in the outbound toll booths when for some reason the gate doesn't work. And then we have alternate solutions that's more of a retrofit that you can actually modify that gate itself when you want to go and upgrade it to SIP. Here's the video comm portion. You may not be able to see it based on the resolution of this phone, but what you see here is really a camera that's integrated here for something really simple. You can look at this as almost kind of a ring application, but instead of looking like a door, this focuses a little bit more on the door activity where you can actually have a conversation with and without, your door, but it kind of works the same way. So both in sort of an indoor application as well as a commercial application in both flavors. Now we have audio door phone applications. Now, one of the unique idea here is that it actually contains a linkage with a built-in RFIC card reader. Very often, in terms of entering buildings, you may give an RFID card to an employee, which should be fully compatible with this system. But a lot of times, the systems that are in place now are probably analog, as you would see in the backbone that I showed earlier. But if you want to upgrade it to SIP because you've actually did a PBX upgrade, then you may want to take a look at this, and then people can go ahead and actually now communicate over the same PBX on people who want to have access in both outdoor and indoor applications, but also adding on the ability so that people with good key access can just log in. And this will work ahead with whatever security applications that you have so that you can actually log on and track where employees go, in and out of your system or your commercial building. Then, of course, we have those that include video. This is more so aimed at for those who really want to see, have that feedback of putting in what door number. This is a little bit more popular in residential applications because people may show up to a door and in essence have to know what type of apartment they're in or what condo they're in. They could enter in that number and they can actually see the number. You can actually see it working. So it really depends on what type of interface that you're looking for. And chances are, Fanvil is going to go ahead and have a flavor that's going to sort of meet your specific needs. Now let's talk about the SIP paging endpoint. This is a very unique application. It's an adapter that's very, very popular, where this, we call it PA because the original intent for this is for public announcements. Very often in old legacy PBX systems, you had the PBX talking to a lot of the overhead paging systems over an analog line that connected to those working amplifiers and speakers. But when you upgrade that to SIP, you go, what am I going to do to stretch out the investment that you've already made in your speakers and amps for your PA? Well, one route is retrofitting the entire thing, where you have to buy your brand new speakers, IP speakers, and everything else. Or what you can do is leverage what's already working on above your ceiling, and then use this in essence to sort of interface to the endpoints, and being able to use this to interface to the paging amplifiers that are inside each of the rooms. And the way it would work here, for example, is if you wanted to sort of page in room, classroom 305, call it extension 305, where you can dial it, and it will actually page and auto answer that call and page that specific adapter. Contrary to that, you could actually put multiple IDs on these specific adapters, which also gives you the capability of being able to page the entire office or the entire school, what have you. And these are some of the applications that this allows you to do. It also supports multicasting. This might be important for hosted applications, where a lot of hosted calls come in from a hosted PBX, and you want to be able to offer some sort of multicasting. Well, you could in essence dial an extension that's on this one paging endpoint, and this will end up multicasting within the internal network all the different things you want to page to that office building or any particular office within that network. A little bit more on this in the future, but this adapter exists, and it also provides the ability for you to sort of provide this capability at or near your endpoint. Okay. In the beginning, I talked about the I-series when I went through that spectrum of all of the ideas, and one of the pieces of demand that came up and said, look, I like working with your phone, but do you have something that has a display? Some people want to order very big 32-inch screens to see displays, but very often that's a little too big in a lot of commercial as well as residential applications. So we have specific one-piece displays where it's far more aesthetically pleasing, where a person could just go ahead when they receive a call, they can see who's at the door, and provide really a ringtone which could perhaps operate a relay to, in essence, open the door so that person can get into your access. So we have both, small, medium, as well as large screen type of solutions, and you can kind of look out for these type of solutions coming in, to your, in essence, menu if you decide to bring Fanvil as part of your solution set to be part of your solution toolbox. Now let's talk about applications. This is one thing that's really interesting because, people, when you don't necessarily look out for it, you'd be surprised on where a lot of these things actually fit in. To give a big swath of all the different things, you can use the PA2 to do alarms. Very often you need to have phone system go into alarm system. You can use our PA2 to set not only just an audio alarm system, but also providing some sort of a strobe light to be able to allow people in noisy environments to do that. As I mentioned earlier, you could use the I-10, which is an indoor unit for nurses' calls, access control with not only just the intercoms and everything, but it really provides a whole spectrum of a lot of things. And let's just start digging into some of the case applications. One of the things that's really starting to grow that we have seen is that's actually growing very often is self-serve convenience store. I don't know if many of you have seen it, but if you've actually shopped at a local grocery store or even going to Home Depot recently, you'll notice that many years ago, there was one aisle that allowed people to go into a store, pick up what they need, not necessarily have to go into a line, and all of a sudden they just pay through a cashier and out they go. And now when you go in, at least I know in my area, which is in Northern California, they have 4, 5, and sometimes even 6 cases where I walk into a store, pick up what I need, and just basically do a self-checkout, and all of a sudden out in the yard, you realize, my goodness, I've never really spoke to anybody. I went in, I got what I need. There's a level of trust involved, obviously, but you can go ahead in and really provide your own checkout, experience. Well, this is actually happening a lot more, and it's expanding into convenience stores where you have something like Amazon Go. This is an optional store where it's actually using cameras as well as access device units to really provide people access to go into the store. As you see here, some of the cases you see are just gateways that allow people with access to kind of go in, and you're sort of tracked as you're going in, and you can go out, pick out the things you want, do a self-checkout, no lines, no checkout. And seriously, you could basically pick up what you need and just leave in the store. And frankly, it's not that different of an experience for those who have shopped in grocery stores or even recent Home Depots, if not other type of stores that people are used to today. And if you think about it, you could probably do a lot of the shopping on your own, and it's actually growing. But the good news is that it uses a lot of these access devices to be able to allow you to come in and out of the stores on your own. Here's a case study that's actually in Asia. I know that the unit that you may see is a little bit more low key, but you actually have one of the units that we showed here that provides key access. This is not an Amazon store, but this is sort of the equivalent no access key where you can actually come in, you can actually get some change if you wanted to from an ATM. And it also has one of our video locators here that allows people to see who gains access. But what ends up happening is you end up having one person being able to manage 6 different stores at the same time. And then that's just looking over and seeing what happens. And people come in, they do their shop. So there's actually control coming in and people control going out. Very interesting trend, but that's something that's actually growing and using our solutions to provide that access point. You're going to begin to see this a lot of times showing up in the retail. There's a lot of retail space that are using this. Instead of phones, very often people provide intercoms, or shopping malls for solutions that actually give employee access to help. Very often, people aren't necessarily standing around in the automotive section, but in case you need it, you push it and you get immediate help from whomever is available. Now, this is very much the case with a lot of the fast food places like McDonald's and Burger King, where you can actually go up to a stand and very often you may end up being connected to a central call center where they actually take in your order and they could actually relay all those messages to those branch stores that actually make it. So a lot of these things are merging in, whether you like it or not, but these door access units become very, very access and being able to allow, point-to-point accessibility. A big application here is really multi-dwelling units. I recently went and stayed at a multi-dwelling unit in Florida recently. There, in a lot of the coastal things, there are tons of condominiums and apartments there, and people end up walking in with these cards, and the way people get access to them is using these units in both a parking area to allow access to the parking lot, as well as being able to enter in through the lobby and gain access to the elevators, etc. And then you can use these displays in the kitchen as well as the living room, depending on what display unit you're looking for. So, all of these things provide very, very, in essence, gate access points where sometimes they use phones, but this is far more appropriate in providing really an ease of use of having self-contact. Now let's talk about retrofitting. In the case of hotels, for example, you may want to have gate locks. And in the case of gate locks, when people leave their hotel parking lot, I've had my fair share of people leaving hotels and all of a sudden the machine doesn't work and you have to contact the lobby. Well, what if you're doing when you update the lobby with the new SIP product and you lose that communication between where the parking lot is and the thing, and you can end up using our PA2 along with a kit. Now, one of the things that we provide is a kit that actually gives you an extra button or a camera if you wanted to, and speakers and mic, where you can actually drill holes in the existing unit and then being able to retrofit that unit to be able to communicate with the new SIP system, to give you an example. And then that will allow a far, more value-based solution to something that already exists rather than getting something brand new to work into that system. And this is just one of many options that you actually have that allow you to retrofit a parking meter. So in a typical application where you actually have these meters, they'll go through our PA2 system. They could be connected with or without a camera. And really, this is, in that case, a front lobby person or somebody who's working the services that can provide, cleaner access and providing access or exits to, your particular lot. Other applications, obviously, is campus security. I think there's been a lot of funding that's been put into the education system to be able to allow accessibility and as well as clean access. People think about putting in phones in the systems. Well, with terms of intercoms and having access, I was recently in a car accident one time, and I remember, wow, I was just dazed. And when you're kind of confused when the action's on, sometimes doing something simple like dialing the emergency code becomes a little more of a challenge. And instead, you can actually provide a one-touch emergency, and you can be connected and setting off whatever alarms you can. And you can have it with or without video throughout your campus. And this is sort of a high-level architecture diagram on how you can kind of put these things together, where you can actually manage multiple schools, multiple tracks, have kiosks, actually, where you actually have these things in the kiosk that provide outdoor campus type of activity where people may want to report in, support or help when they needed to on either a campus situation or any particular, outdoor campus, whether it's retail, et cetera. Here's an opportunity where they used our solution in a train station. Very often, they had these boxes that existed that were connected analog in the previous scenario, where all of a sudden they want to upgrade it to SIP, and they actually put in our PA2 kit inside this box using our kit buttons and cameras, which allowed for some central supervision center to allow remote access and be able to call help or provide support wherever the passenger needed. And it really is these little tools that, unless you actually look for them, they're probably, just as popular as phones, when you walk into a commercial environment. This is especially true when you're going outside in transportation, because things have to be hard, and most phones don't survive well in outdoor scenarios. Okay. Trying to forward my slide. Hang on just a second. My system is responding slow for some reason. I don't know why, but hang on while I get around to it. I'm trying to pick the next slide, and for some reason, it's not working. Whoops. Let's see. I don't know what's going on here. Hopefully this is a short-term glitch. That's going to happen, and hopefully my PC will maintain its performance. Sorry, audience, for this glitch here. I can't seem to advance my slide.
Tommy, if you'd like, we can go into the Q&A segment.
Sure, that would be fine. I'm actually going near the end segment, so by all means, if we want to go into the QA segment, that would be great. We got cut a little bit short, but if you need a soft copy of this, I will provide a soft copy of this presentation to Julie, and she can pass this out to the audience as needed. Okay? So if
that
you have
would work just fine.
Okay, great.
Excellent. Yes. Yes. And I do have some questions here for you, so let's go ahead and launch into that. And appreciate it so much. So let's just take it from there.
Oh, great. Oh, actually, it doesn't work now, but that's okay if you want to continue on.
Oh, can you go ahead and advance your slide?
Yeah, I think I can.
Okay, you go ahead and take it from there, and when you're completely finished, we'll do Q&A.
Great. I only got 4 more slides, so this will be pretty quick. I mean, just to close it in the railway station, here we actually talk about having, a help device that works and that connects with your PBX. And then you can obviously connect to a remote phone that you can actually see what's going on in the rail stations. Moving forward, as I mentioned earlier, there are lots of cities that have cameras that face everywhere. And even though I talk about the cameras that exist on our intercom systems, we actually can interface with third-party IP cameras as well. So we work with existing camera systems, or you can retrofit it without intercoms, et cetera. And you may want to just look into the feature set of whether or not, the intercom system that you put in can actually work well with third-party cameras. Okay. Again, this is sort of the outline for doing city help. and actually interfacing with third-party cameras, the interview here, and having a central contact and operator center in between. And for those with help stations, we also found in cases that this also works in a wireless router. There's been a lot of talk about using 5G routers, and this will actually work along with 5G routers more on the networking end than anything else. So kind of in close to conclusion, Fanvil has been working with many third-party technology providers. And one of the things that we add in is that we're also compatible with a lot of different platform providers. So the good news is that we're really compatible with these systems, and being able to provide phones as well as phone applications here and a management system all thrown into one. So if what you want to do is do that, we're compatible with a lot of these systems all around. So let's walk into the Q&A section. Okay, Julie?
Thank you, Tommy, so much for that presentation. Appreciate it. Let's start with the first question here. Are the SIP phones and the access security managed on the same controller?
Yes, actually, when you say the same controller, we offer an option. In other words, I showed about the FDMS, which is the management system. You do have the option of managing both the intercoms as well as the phones together on that one central management system, so that you can see all of these devices. Now, there are some add-ons that actually do that, because when you use our system, what it does do, it gives you the ability to sort of view video in advance before a SIP call happens. And what we really mean by that is sometimes when you get someone that shows up on your door, you may want to take a look to see who that person is before you actually initiate a SIP call. In nearly all of the applications that are out there, you have to initiate the SIP call, meaning that indicates that somebody's already there. But you could also sneak in a video to see whether or not someone's there and that they have true access before you actually initiate the call. These little tiny features do, but yes, the FDMS is an option that will allow a tie-in of our phones as well as our access points under one central system.
Thank you, Tommy. Next question here for you regarding FDMS. Is it free, or is it a subscription-based system?
Oh no, that system we provide free. It's available to all our partners. All you would need to do is to send in your company name, your contact information, your access, and what Fanvil will do is to set up an FDMS evaluation system and see how you can go ahead and manage our phones, our intercoms, our door rack systems, depending on what you're interested in the one system. Very often when you talk about phones, sometimes the PBXs come with their own access and provisioning systems. We provide one of many different options. For people who don't have an access system, you can use ours, or some people are customized and have their own system. So, it's one of many different options that our partners have access to that can provide that same level of management.
Thank you, Tommy. Next question. Oh, go ahead.
And it's free of charge too, by the way. Yeah, we don't charge.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Next question regarding FDMS. Is FDMS able to detect other devices or third-party manufacturers and configure them?
No, in the case of FDMS, it's really more of a Fanvil central management system. It's really tied in where you go ahead and they're kind of linked to our phones and our solutions. So if you want to tie in others, likely they're going to have to probably customize their own configuration system, or perhaps use the configuration system that comes with, the actual PBX hosted or on-prem platform as it comes with. So there are a lot of options, but in the case of FDMS, that's tied into the Fanvil solutions only.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Can you tell us about the warranty on your products?
Oh, absolutely. It's a big differentiation with Fanvil. We provide a 2-year warranty with all of our products, and that is based upon when the integrator or the installer actually receives the product. So, very often, that's a very generous thing where they actually have it, and once they have it, anything that violates our specification, we'll support the product for 2 years from the time of procurement.
Thank you for that, Tommy. Next question here for you. Are all of your outdoor devices IP67 or 68 rated?
Actually, I think it was IP65 it was done. Yeah, the answer is yes. At a minimum, they have to be, all the outdoor devices have to comply with some minimal level of dust, dirt, rain resistance, etc. Then we have those that go very, very extreme in terms of rain connectivity, where it actually can connect from like minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit all the way up to very high levels, like 100+ degrees Fahrenheit, very industrial type of temperatures. So it depends on what you're looking for. But the answer is yes.
Thank you very much for that. Couple more questions. Next one here. Does the video have surveillance that automatically captures images when somebody goes near the door?
That is more of a sensor. There's no sensor management on these devices. What they're talking about is more of like perhaps a motion sensor where it would sense a person coming close to the door. This would involve something that would have to have an interaction. So if a person shows up, then what they can do is depending on what situation you have, you would require a third-party motion sensor in order for that to happen. I'm sure you could probably retrofit that, but it doesn't come standard on the actual system itself. What you can do is because it's an intercom, 1 button or 2 button, there has to be a physical interaction for some person to interact. In the case of the advanced video feed, a person may go ahead and click a button and say, hey, I'm at your gate. But what the central office can do is actually go and take a peek to see who that person is before they initiate a call and initiate the SIP call to answer it. So these are the little features, but no, it doesn't do it in advance. There has to be some physical interaction for the camera to kick in.
Thank you, Tommy. Next question here for you. Is Fanvil comparable to the Ring system?
You know what? That's a project that I have. I have a Ring system at home, frankly, and I have yet to still look at my camera systems and be able to program that IP address. Perhaps if you that may be my weekend project coming up, but I can't confirm it because I haven't done it. But because that's an IP address, I would be surprised if it doesn't work, but I can't confirm that. I'd like to try it on my own cameras, quite honestly. You could walk into one of our speed dials and be able to program one of those speed dials for an IP camera configuration and be able to sort of look at your front or the back of the house, because that is an IP system, but I have yet to confirm that before I actually say yes.
Thank you for that, Tommy. Couple more questions here for you. Can you tell us the best hours of support that we could reach Fanvil? And would it be yourself, or who's the best person to contact for any technical support?
It depends on what tier. Very often you can contact me. I'm located in Northern California, so feel free to contact me. I could be a first tier. Other than me, you could also provide support. If you need technical support, I would suggest providing support to going to support@fanvil.com. A lot of our technical product management resides across the pond in China, but in reality, a lot of those people work well beyond those hours to support the global events. So, for example, if you woke up early in Pacific time frame and be able to address your question at say 8, 9 o'clock, don't be surprised. You may be able to get a response, within an hour later, because a lot of these people do work multiple shifts, as well as myself, to try and help you do. And so, I'm not the surgeon of all the technical questions, but I am sort of an advice nurse where I can sort of guide you to the right answers that you're looking for.
Excellent, Tommy. Thank you so much for answering all of those questions for us today. And also thank you to everyone for attending today's webinar. And if anyone happens to have any further questions, of course, please feel free to contact our sales rep or email us at sales@microcomtech.com. And if you wish to view any of the products mentioned or shown here today, please visit us at www.microcom.us. And remember, this webinar presentation has been recorded and will be uploaded to our Microcom YouTube channel so you can view it again. Thank you, everybody, for joining today. Appreciate it. Tommy, excellent presentation. And until next time, everybody have a fantastic day.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you, Tommy.